Hello, everybody. We have 9 games left of the season, and currently Wycombe Wanderers sit a few points off Derby County and Bolton. So I thought now would be the ideal time to look at the current squad of players we have, minus the loans, so no Cartwright or Ken Campbell, and see who I think we need to keep at all costs. We need to keep in general, either for the fact they're starting or for the fact they're good squad players. Let them cook, so that's basically the youth players. So give them time to develop, give them time to mature as a player and as a person to see if they turn out to be a good prospect for us, or let them leave. Just let them go at the end of contract or try and move them on. So first we have Blunkel. I would say let him cook. He was kept at the club over, for example, Tyler Dickinson, who did start for us at the start of the season. So obviously the manager and coaches at the time saw something in him. At worst, he will be a backup goalkeeper for Max Striek or whoever else comes in afterwards. So I see no reason to not keep him at the club and let him develop, let him get better as a player, and maybe come in as our first choice in a couple of years. Chris Joseph, we keep. He has been very good recently. He has done very, very well, especially since the retirement of Alfie Mawson, which was a big hit. But Chris Frino has stepped into his shoes. He's not the same player, but I think he's done very well. He is quite physical. He's also quite fast. He's effective in the air. He is perhaps not the same level of passing that Mawson has, but I don't think any centre back at this level would have the same level of passing that Alfie Mawson had. So I think he's an excellent player for us. I think he's still young as well. He's only 22. He can keep on developing. So I think he's definitely one we look to keep. Now, we have Curtis Thompson and Dominic Gape next. I'm going to be a bit scandalous here. I'm going to say we let them both go. Curtis Thompson has played 4 games this season. Gape, I believe, has played 24 games in 2 seasons since we got relegated from the Championship. And that's just not good enough. We need, especially for our sort of club, we need players who are capable of playing game in, game out. We are not a big club that can afford to spend a lot on wages for players who are going to be injured. We simply can't. We do not have the budget of Ipswich, Derby, Bolton, Barnsley, or even Plymouth. We have to be very sensible about where we spend our money, and at the moment we're spending what is likely to be a fair bit of wages on 2 players who simply aren't playing for us. I don't deny their quality. I think they are both very, very good players when we can get them on the pitch. And we can't get them on the pitch too regularly at the moment. So I think we have to say, no, we've loved having you here, but we need players who can play regularly for us. That's going to be a bit controversial, but I think that would be the best way forward for Wycombe as a club to be able to take their wages and distribute it to other players who can come in and play on a regular basis. We have Gareth McCleary. I'm going to say keep at all costs because I think he has been phenomenal this season. He leads the club in terms of combined goals and assists. He has been very, very good. He's played well in the new sort of possession-based style under Matt Bloomfield. And I think he definitely has the intelligence to really excel in that position. It'll also help him a little bit when his legs start going a bit more. He's not going to be as explosive, but then we can look for his passing and his ability to find space and to find players. So I think he's somebody that, at 35, he's still fairly young in terms of Wycombe players. So I think we can definitely get more out of him. I don't see any reason why we would need anybody else for his position at the right wing anytime soon. Jack Grimmer, we definitely keep. I'm going to be honest, at the start of the season, I was not convinced of Jack Grimmer. I thought he was okay, but he has really, really excelled this season, and I think he's excelled as a centre-back more than a right-back. I think he has put in some inspirational performances as a centre-back when Tafazoli's been injured, when Chris Frino was injured, or Mawson was unable to play. So I think he's definitely one we look to keep and potentially even play at centre-back as a pure centre-back. I think he definitely has the quality in terms of there. I think that I was wrong, and I'm glad to be wrong about him because I think he's a very good player and definitely one we should be looking to keep. Brandon Hanlon. See, he has 3 goals in 25 games. One of them was recently against Bristol Rovers, against Joey Barton, which was lovely. but 3 goals in 25 games for an attacker isn't particularly good. I think he's got 1 assist as well. You can argue he's not played consistently, he's not started consistently, he's not played, I think he prefers play as a striker, he's not played there, but you're looking for more out of him. You really are looking for more out of him. I'd be okay keeping him, but I wouldn't mind seeing another striker and another attacker come in. I wouldn't be comfortable letting him go and not replacing him, but I don't think he's particularly excellent. JJ, we keep. I think at the start of the season, I was quite harsh with Joe. I said his legs were gone, but he did have a couple of bad games at the start of the season. He had an own goal, he had a couple of howlers. But I think he's developed a bit since then. He's sort of realised that he's playing a lot more intelligently. He's playing a lot more of his experience rather than trying to be that dynamic left back he was in the past. And I think he's done really well. He's obviously a leader at the moment. He's our captain. And I think we definitely need to have experienced players like him. And I think he still has a role to play in the squad. He's played left back recently. He's played centre back recently. And I think he's done well in both. So we definitely should keep him. 36. I think we've still got a year or two in him, at the very least. Max Driek, without a doubt, we keep at all costs. He has simply been phenomenal. He's got a 7.28 average rating on SofaScore. The third most saves in the league, joint first conceded goals per game with only 0.8 per game. And he's got the third most clean sheets in the entire league. And that's with him joining, I believe, 8 games late. So he has simply been phenomenal. And the fact we picked him up on a free, it's only performance-related bonuses we pay on him. We didn't pay a transfer fee at the start of the year. It's immense. He has single-handedly won us games. He has single-handedly kept us in games. He has single-handedly kept us from getting 0 points rather than 1, or 1 point rather than 3. So we must keep him at all costs. I don't believe there's a keeper like him. He is just a fantastic shot stopper. His distribution is poor, especially when compared to David Stockdale. But if you get me an offer between the two of them, I would take his shot stopping over Stockdale's distribution any day of the year. I think Striek is perhaps the second best goalkeeper in the league beside Cooper, who is now obviously injured. Jason McCarthy, I think this one's fairly simple, and actually I'm going to do Jordan Obita at the same time as well. Left back, right back. I think they do the job and they do it well. I don't think they particularly excel. I don't think they stand out. I think they do a very good job most games. They don't tend to mess up, and that's pretty admirable. To have that consistency, to just be able to come to basically any match, do a good performance, and go. I'm more than happy with from these players, so I'd say keep them both. Damani Mella, let him cook. He's young. He has that Manchester United pedigree. And there were times when he was playing for Wycombe, I felt like you could tell he was used to playing at a higher standard of training and of player. But you also look at the fact he's now down at Rochdale in League 2 on a loan, and he's got no goals in 10 games. That's a bit concerning. But I think he's definitely a player that has a high ceiling and could develop. I think next season he can come in and be a sort of fringe attacking option. I don't think he'll replace anybody. I don't think he'll particularly excel next season. But I think he's definitely one that can give us something from the bench when we need it. Nick Freeman we keep. He's done very, very well to come back from a very long-term injury. He's not going to replace Josh Gowan or Lewis Wing in the centre mids. He's not going to replace TJ DeBar or Gareth McCleary in the wings, but I think he does a job and he does it well. And he is a very, very good squad option for us. I see no reason that he should leave. I think he's a good player for us. Pattenden, let him cook. A bit of a Swiss Army man. He can play a couple of different positions. I've seen him play as a right back, a right wing, a left winger. He's still young. He's only 20, so younger than a lot of the sort of youth players we have, B-team players. I think he's one that can develop. Excellent on commentary, by the way. Brilliant when he's on Wycombe TV. Isn't the only reason we should keep him, but definitely is one that is nice to have. Sam, we keep. Not had the greatest season so far. He's not matched the excellent form he had last season. Part of that is injuries. part of that is our sort of change in style. We're no longer playing so much in the air, and that is one of Sam's big strengths. I think he still has a role to play in this team. I think his ability to back into players, to take the ball and give it on is phenomenal. I think his goal scoring is great when he gets in the right positions, and he does tend to quite a lot. I think he's somebody that can develop, well, not develop, he's 33, but what somebody who can change with our system to get better. I think he's got the ability to do so. Josh Gowan, he. I don't think I have to say anything about Josh Gowan. If you know, you know. He is simply, I think, at present, the best player we have. So I'm going to actually move him up to the top. Phenomenal. And I don't think you realise just how good he is until you see him live. I went to Accrington Stanley about a month ago. He is phenomenal. He is simply class. And we need to give him as much money as we can without breaking the bank and say, stay for us for another 3 years because we need him desperately. Ryan Tafazolli, very good. The only thing I'd say is if he wasn't so injury prone, I'd say keep at all costs. But he's in and out of the team occasionally, picks up little niggling injuries. So I think we need to keep him. He's 31, he's still fairly young, very good in the air, very physical, but also not slow. Reads the game well. I think he's a really good left-footed centre-back that we should look to, when possible, play as much as possible. Obviously, injuries will determine when he can't. Very good YouTube channel as well, quite entertaining. TJ, a couple of weeks ago, would have been let him cook. But he has came into the team now, and I think he's doing very, very well. It started with that match in Plymouth a couple of months ago. Got the very unfortunate injury there, was at hospital for a while. So glad he recovered. But he's starting to show his ability now. He's got, I believe, 3 assists in the past couple of games, and I think he's doing very well. He's really got a chance to stake a claim at the first team football now. And that's showing you the proof that this sort of B team system's working. We've got Chris Frino through it. We've got Mehmeti through it. Got a large fee from Mehmeti as well. And now TJ Tabar is going to be one of the latest ones to look like to come off that sort of B team to first team pipeline. So I'm really happy to have him, and I'd love to keep him for next season. Jack Wakely, we let him cook, I think. Chelsea Academy, Brighton Academy. Not seen particularly much of him, but he's started coming on under Bloomfield, coming on to help shut down games in the last 5 minutes, taking off an attacker for a centre-back. I think I don't particularly know a lot about him, so I can't make any authoritative claims, but I think he's one we should look to keep, let him cook, let him develop, see where he comes out. Wales, Swiss Army man, we all know about David Wheeler. He is fantastic in a number of positions, played right back, centre mid, centre attacking mid, right wing, striker this season, and always does a job no matter where. There's also a lovely, lovely lad off the field, really, really intelligent, I think. So he's definitely one that he might not start, but he's really, really important for us. So we need to keep him. Willis, we keep. We've not seen a lot of him. He did get an unfortunate own goal recently, but there's not a lot you can do about that. I think he's doing well to come back from a long-term injury. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire with us, but I think he's definitely somebody to keep around. He's a good option to have. He's a really good option to have. You know, we're looking at the centre-backs. We'll have Grimmer, we'll have Willis, we'll have Tafazolli, and we'll have Chris Frino, which is a very good set of centre-back options to have. If you can also include Joe Jacobson in that as well. That's 5 very good centre-backs to have, not including the young ones like Wakely. So he's on a short-term deal, I believe. He's signed till the end of this season. I would have no problems whatsoever if we said at the end of the season, do you want to stay for another year? I think he's a very good option to have. Lewis Wing, phenomenal this season. We keep him at all costs. He has just excelled this year. He's done really well under the sort of new system that you could see Ainsworth slowly building towards, and now Bloomfield just deciding, yeah, we're building towards it very clearly. That sort of possession-styled, passing-styled system. He looks like he will excel in that. He has done phenomenally. He's now got Championship club interests, which is obviously concerning. But I think he really, really should stay. He seems content here at the start of the season. He did an interview where he said, I was tired of chopping and changing, I was tired of moving teams and going alone. So I hope that is still something he's thinking about now and hoping that he'll stay. Because he has been phenomenal. He is perfect in that sort of double pivot alongside Josh Gowan. You know, and it's really nice to have those two really good centre mids that work well with each other. They very clearly work well with each other. The sort of ball winning midfielder and the box to box midfielder working really well in harmony. So we need to try and keep him at all costs, or if worst comes to worst, get him a new contract so we can get a good fee out of him. That's what I'm hoping for. Young, again, we let him cook. I don't particularly know a lot about him, unlike a lot of the young players. Especially though, if we're letting Gape and Thompson though, there are potentially opportunities for him to go from that fringe player to a more squad team player. Newcastle Academy, so Premier League standard. I think he's not somebody I'm expecting greatness from in the same vein as potentially Damani Mello or Wakely, but I think he's definitely somebody that could develop, and we should allow time to develop into a good player for us. He has been a year and a half though. I'd say if next season he doesn't come in and doesn't start becoming a squad player, we may want to look at moving him on. I don't think I've been too controversial here. I know Gape and Thompson, a lot of you will probably disagree with, but I think in terms of the majority of the players, I've been fairly standard. If you disagree with me, please let me know. If you agree with me, let me know. I know there's some players that, for example, if championship clubs come in for them, we aren't going to be able to keep. We're just going to have to get as much money as possible. And we do have to sort of admit now, we are going to be a team that if we don't get promoted, we're going to struggle to keep some of the players, because some of these players are of a very high quality. We're also very good at developing players now. We've got Chris Freno, who's improved to a high degree. We've got TJ DeBar, who's improved to a high degree. I think Grimm has improved a lot. I think Obita has improved. I would say even the likes of Wing has improved a lot since joining us. So I think it'll be difficult to keep this same team in place for next season. But I think we've got a very good backbone to build a strong team next year. If you agree or disagree, let me know, and thank you so much for watching.